All right. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Focused Free Fit. Today, I'm excited because we're going to have a conversation about money and your mindset specifically around money. And we have an amazing guest, Pericles Rellas. So welcome.
Thank you, Frank. It's great to be here. I'm very excited to talk about this. I love this conversation about money.
I love it too. And what's funny, though, is before we get started, I was thinking, I talk about money all the time. I'm just fascinated with the topic. It's just a passionate, thing that I'm passionate about. But I probably spend, if I'm being honest, and as I coach people, I spend very little time around the mindset
Mm.
and money. And I think that's what's going to be really important today. And that's what I'm really excited to see, what I don't know or what I'm missing, because I'm sure there's a lot, and I'm sure a lot of us are missing, that part of the conversation. So excited to get into that. As
Great.
always, on this podcast, we start with the early years. And tell us about you when you were, growing up. Where did you grow up? And tell us about family life, early life, so we can see if there's any correlation to what you got going on today.
Absolutely. I grew up in Los Angeles, California, and I am the son of two first generation U.S. citizens. So my grandparents on both my parents' side of the family were immigrants. And then, so my mom and dad were the first ones born here in the United States. And one of the things that, looking back on it, that I noticed is we never talked about money. It was taboo. We never asked about money. We never asked anybody how much they made. We certainly never told anybody how much we made. It was just off topic. And so for me growing up, it was a blind spot. It was just something that was never discussed. And we grow up, and oftentimes this leads to generational mindsets around money. So we've got one generation does one thing around money, the next generation picks up the same habits, and so on and so forth. And so there's a point where sometimes we say, you know what, I'm breaking this generational mindset. I'm going to shift it into something new. And what I've discovered was, especially when I was younger, there were so many things that my parents would say, one in particular, around money that impacted my ability to earn money. And I remember, I'm going to date myself here. We were watching the show called Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous. It was probably one of the earlier kind of reality shows, but it was,
Robin
all
Leach.
about these, it was about all of these wealthy families. And generally there was a negative slant to it. Like there was something horrible about their life, even though they had all these great things. And I remember at the end of this one particular episode, my mom saying, very casually, without any agenda, I never want to have that kind of money. You'll lose your whole family. And in that moment, that 7-year-old boy decided, I can't have a lot of money or I'll lose my whole family. I don't want to lose my whole family. And that became the background conversation, that it was completely undistinguished for me. And I bumped up against that glass ceiling for years until I started doing this particular work around money mindset. And that's when I focused my attention on it, was able to distinguish it. And then I created a system by which we can actually break through those old negative conversations around money. So growing up for me was one of ignorance around money, and I carried that forth. And until I was able to actually shift I call it my financial thermostat. It's our money mindset. Until I was able to reset my financial thermostat, I was not able to make more money. And now that I've reset it, I have this freedom around what I can earn, what I can keep, as well as my experiences around money.
Wow, there's a lot of nuggets in there. So I want to go a couple different ways. I think the best way to go, though, is, so let's stay on you for a second before I ask my questions
Sure.
about what you said, because there's a lot of important questions I have from that. So you grew up, not really talked about money. What was your first major interaction with money? Meaning, at some point, I can remember one of my major interactions with money was my dad taking me to a bank and opening my savings account with the book they used to give you, and you would see in the book how much money you had, and that was like one when I had my lawn business and whatever. But that was really, we didn't talk much about investing in money and all these different options, right? And what you should be doing. So when did you first have your interaction with money, and when did it occur to you to say, this is something that I want to talk to others about because I don't know what I'm doing? Or did that ever happen to you? What
Right.
happened after that?
Well, I think there are two different experiences for me. I think the earliest real moment I had with interaction with, and it wasn't per se with money, but I remember my mother sitting down at the kitchen table with her checkbook and balancing the checkbook. And she would have the bank statement because there was no internet in those days, right? It was all paper. And so she would get the bank statement in the mail. She'd open it up and she would go through and she would balance the checkbook to the penny. And I remember there were days where she would spend hours trying to find a penny in her checkbook. It was so important for her. And so I remember thinking to myself, wow, that's amazing. Down to the penny, down to the penny. And so that kind of carried with me as well. Now I have a very different relationship with money in terms of, is one penny worth 2 hours of my time? Or am I okay with, I'm within a certain range on here and I know that I'm pretty close and I'm not going to worry about that, right? There are things like that we want to be two-headed about. And then I think the next experience around money was when I got my first credit card. And I remember thinking, whoa, I've arrived. And boy, did I charge that sucker up. I remember going out to dinner with friends and I'd be like, oh, I'll pay for this. And I'd run the credit card up. And I was carrying credit card debt from a very early age. And I remember somebody saying to me when I was younger, saying, well, you're always going to have debt, so don't worry about it. And so for me, it was kind of like, okay, I'm going to always have debt, so I'm going to run up the credit cards. Nothing I can do about it. I'm doing what everybody's doing. And in fact, that wasn't the case. Well, it is the case in the United States. A lot of people do carry debt, but it wasn't necessarily the case that that's the way it had to be. Now, flash forward to I'm now starting to coach people. I took on being a business coach, being a personal coach for people to grow and expand their ability to build their business, make more money, keep more money. And within the first 2 months, I noticed this really crazy thing. My clients were making more money, and some of them were making a lot more money. But at the end of every month, they were still in the same place that they were before they started working with me. So if they were somebody that was just treading water at the end of every month before they started working with me, now they're making a lot more money. They're still just treading water. If they were somebody that was always behind on their bills, always trying to catch up, after they were making more money, they were still in the same place. If they were somebody that was stressed or worried about money, same exact thing. And I noticed it pretty early on, and I said, there's got to be something here. There's something going on that has every one of my clients in a similar situation. So that's when I started to study it. I really pulled out all the stops and looked at it from my own perspective, looked at it from my client's perspective, started to do research on it. And over the next 2 years, I distinguished two things. One is that we all have a financial thermostat or a money mindset. And that financial thermostat determines how much money we can earn, how much money we can keep, as well as our thoughts, feelings, and emotions around money. And the second thing was how to reset our financial thermostat so that we can actually have more money, keep more money, and have an experience of satisfaction, joy, and fulfillment around money. And from that moment on, I started delivering it to my clients, saw these extraordinary results, and that became the focus of my work for, the last 25 years.
Wow. Okay. So I'm going to be a little selfish here. I want to know, obviously I want you to brainwash me so I make millions of dollars. No, I'm just kidding. I go ahead, get started. So one of the
Right.
things that I think about for me is I have an 8-year-old boy. And I understand what you're talking about when you were growing up, right? You watched your parents balance the checkbook, maybe discussions they had around money, what little they were. I want to know for myself and everybody else who listens to this, what should we be doing with kids, those of us that have kids? And then also, what's the process for all of us who aren't kids to, one, understand what our limitations are around money and what we can do to fix it? So those are the three things that are popping in my head right now.
Yeah, perfect. So 3 different questions, all of which are really, really important. So let's talk about kids first.
Okay.
This is an opportunity for us to break those generational money mindsets and stop them in their tracks. And so I have a lot of people say, well, my kid says they want this, but I can't afford it, or I'll only buy one thing and tell them I can't afford the other thing, or what am I supposed to say, and all of that. This is a great opportunity for us to educate our children in that, first of all, money doesn't provide us everything. And second of all, we only spend what we have. We spend what we've saved for. So if, for example, your child has an allowance, you give your kid an allowance every single week or month or however it works now, right? You want to train them, start to teach them what to do with that money so that it grows every single day, every single week, every single month. So if you get, I don't know what they get nowadays, right? I don't know, $20 a week or whatever it is, you sit down with them and say, okay, so you've got $20. We're going to put some of it away for long-term savings. We're going to put some of it away for you to buy something maybe in a month or 2 months or 6 months. And then we're going to keep some of it for you to just have right now. What percent do you want to put into each one of those vessels? And I actually have physical vessels, and they're clear, they're glass, and there's an opportunity for them to put some of that money into each one of the vessels and see that money grow every single week, every single month, every single year. And at the end of the month, we want to take that money out and bring them to the bank and have them deposit that money into that account and have it be an account that's earning interest. And then every month they can look at it online and see, wow, my money's growing. My money's growing. And that will start to put the bug in their ear of understanding money. Well, how can I make my money grow more? Well, great. That's a great question. Let's sit down and let's Google it. What are great ways to grow my money? And start to educate them on those different opportunities. And then the second part of that is, if they say, well, I want this, say, great, I'm willing to buy this for you, but you also want that. Have you saved enough money for that? No, I haven't. Great. Well, let's go home and we'll create a plan for you to save from that second vessel, which is for you to spend on a regular basis, how long it will take you to save for that thing. And then have them start to create that target. This is what I'm saving for. And what's really interesting is a lot of times kids start to come to their own conclusion around this is, wow, I spent a lot of time saving for that. I don't know if I really want to spend it on that. I don't know if it seemed like a really cool idea at the time if somebody else was going to pay for it. But when I'm saving my money, maybe I don't want to spend it on that. And now they have a different relationship to money. Now they understand the value of money and what money can buy us and what money can't buy us and what we're choosing to buy rather than, oh, I need this. You don't need this. I actually want it. Well, do I want it enough to spend this money on it, or do I not want it enough? So that's what I think is really important with kids. And it's also important that we break up our own taboos around kids, around money with our kids, because if we don't, they're going to adopt those. Look, our kids know exactly what we're thinking. They know what we're feeling. We love to tell ourselves they don't, but they know when we're stressed around money. They know when we're worried about money or anything. And so we want to shift our own relationship to money. And this is where the second question that you came up with is, what do we do to determine what our own financial thermostat setting is, right? And this is a really easy thing to do. For anyone listening, you can do this in 2 seconds. Stop and look at what's it like for you around money right now. Are you able to earn more, or are you stuck? Are you able to earn a lot, but you can't keep it? It just disappears. At the end of the month, you're thinking, what happened to my money? Where did it go? Right? These are simple questions to ask for you to see, oh, my financial thermostat is set where I can't earn more. Or my financial thermostat is set where I can earn lots, but I can't keep it. It disappears. Or my financial thermostat is set where I can make a lot, I can keep a lot, but I don't have this sense of fulfillment. I don't have a sense of enough or joy or satisfaction around money. Once you're clear about that, then we can take the next step, which leads me to your third question. How do we alter that? How do we shift our financial thermostat or reset it so that I can earn more, I can keep more, I'm satisfied, I have happiness, joy around money? So there's this distinction I came up with around money, in that money is a currency. We all know that. That's not mine, right? It's a currency. Now, as a currency, it flows like a current, just like electricity, just like water, just like wind. Now, it flows in a distinct way. Money flows in a circle, and we intersect that circle. So it flows to us through us, and away from us, and then back around to us, through us, and away from us, with a reservoir on the side that we get to keep. Now, because money flows in a circle, blocks anywhere in that flow are blocks everywhere in the flow. So what we want to start to do is notice our blocks in the flow of money coming to us and clear them. What do blocks in the flow of money coming to us look like? They look like, I hate the wealthy. I think if you have a lot of money, you got it by breaking the law or being corrupt or being evil or something like that. Money is the root of all evil. I resent my boss. I resent the people that are above me who have control over how much money I can make. All of these things are blocks in the flow of money coming to us, because at the end of the day, we can't become that which we resent or that which we hate. So if we hate the wealthy, you're not going to become wealthy. Now, some people will say, well, I don't want to have that kind of wealth. You know what? Universe doesn't distinguish between 1 penny and $1 trillion. It just knows that if you have 1 penny now that you didn't have before, you're now wealthier. So that conversation of, I hate the wealthy, I resent the wealthy, or money is the root of all evil, is going to stop you from ever being able to create the kind of wealth that you want. So those are some blocks coming to us. Blocks in the flow of money going away from us are, I hate paying my taxes. I hate paying my fair share. I hate paying other people. I'm always negotiating down because I want it for cheaper. I want it for less. I hold on to my money and just, I don't want to let it go. These are all blocks in the flow of money going away from us. Again, we want to start clearing those blocks. So how do we clear them? Really simple 3-step process. First and foremost, we need to acknowledge that we have that block. Money's the root of all evil. Okay, I can see that I've had that conversation for decades. Money's the root of all evil. I can own that that's my conversation. I'm responsible that I've had that conversation. I own it. That's step 1. Step 2, let that conversation go. Physically, audibly say, I let that conversation go. It is no longer my conversation. It no longer has power or dominion over me. I release it into the care of whoever. I don't care. God, the universe, the tree outside, the ocean, I don't care. But release it out into the care of something else. And it's got to be audible. You can't do this in your head. You have to say it out loud until you feel a sense of like, wow, I actually feel it kind of going away. That conversation is going away. Now, once you've done that, step 2, step 3 is fill that empty space with a new conversation around money. Money empowers me. Money flows easily and abundantly to me every single day. Whatever it is, you want to just start declaring it. And then once you've got that, you've got to write it down and you've got to declare it throughout your day. Start your day by declaring it. Midway through your day, declare it again. Money flows to me easily and abundantly every single day. And then over time, what you'll notice is that old negative conversation will start to diminish. It'll get quieter. It won't show up as often. It'll never go away. It'll always be there, but it will diminish over time. And that new conversation will become the dominant conversation. And suddenly you'll see things very, very differently. And you want to do this for each one of those blocks in the flow of money. I know I went on for a while there, but there were
that
3
was
questions
good.
I want to make sure I got all of them.
No, you were perfect because you answered all the questions I asked. So, actually, I'm shocked because I wasn't sure, but a lot of what you recommended, I'm doing. That's the good news for me.
Great.
But I know there's some individuals out there that will be saying, hogwash. I can't say these things and things will get better for me. Or it's either a limiting belief around what you're saying. I agree with you 100% on all this, by the way. And the other piece is,
Yep.
I think a lot of what you're saying to do, or, that I currently do, I'm a big, say something to yourself in the morning and at night, like a Think and Grow Rich and a Bob Proctor type of stuff, positive motivational stuff. But I know that what's so funny about this is that it takes discipline. And so I know that a lot of people don't have the discipline to just do that simple thing every single day. How long would you recommend that they do it for? Or if they do battle the discipline, would you have any advice for them? Or do you ever run into that with your clients?
Yeah, this is a great question. And I think so twofold. One is, if If this isn't the conversation for you, totally fine. You may not be ready for it. It may not be right for you. Either way, it's
Yeah.
totally fine with me. There is no one right answer for everyone. There is only the right answer for you. So if you're listening to this and you're thinking, yeah, that'll never work. No. There are two things for you to look at. One is that a limiting conversation that you want to let go of that will free you up to actually have things work for you? Or is that something you're not willing to give up? If you're not willing to give it up, then this isn't the conversation for you. And I'm fine with that. I don't have any judgment or opinion about that. Not everyone's ready to step into this world, into this conversation, or this conversation isn't the right conversation for everyone. Whichever it is for you, you want to embrace it. And if this isn't the right conversation for you, but you're ready to shift your relationship to money, go find the right conversation for you.
Mhm.
Don't sit and be upset that this isn't it for you. Find the thing that is. If it is right for you, then it's about having a structure. It's about having someone around you that can elevate you. Because look, the bottom line is we can't do this on our own. I have to get up 4 days a week and go to the gym and work out with my trainer because I know me. I am not going to do it on my own. I am not going to wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning to go spend time in the gym by myself. I won't. So I've set up a structure where I know I have to do that. And for each and every one of your listeners, find a structure that works for you. For some people, it'll be a coach. For some people, it'll be a mentor. For some people, it'll be a best friend or a good friend who they can check in with every day and say, hey, did you do that? No, I didn't. All right, what's going on? Let's get you doing it. Somebody to elevate you that's outside of you. And then with regard to doing it, you want to do it every single time the conversation shows up. Now, the first time you're sitting down to let go of a conversation, it may take a little bit more work. But after you've done it once or twice, for me, if there's an old conversation that shows up, it's like, boom, it's done. It's like 2 seconds. I just like, oh, there it is. Let it go. And this is who I am. It takes no time and I don't need to do it out loud. But when we're first building that foundation, we want to do it in a way that creates those new neural pathways. So we can talk about the science of this. We can talk about the energetics of this. We can talk about the spirituality of it. It applies in all three areas. But basically what we're doing is we're training our brains by we're interrupting old neural pathways. The old conversation, we're acknowledging it, recognizing it, moves it from the back of from our survival brain into the frontal cortex where we have critical thinking. It interrupts those old neural pathways. We're letting it go, interrupting those neural pathways again. And then the new conversation is the birth of new neural pathways around a new conversation. Now, that new neural pathway needs to be reinforced over time in order for it to grow stronger and stronger and stronger. And so you want to do it more and more, which is why after time it will become the dominant conversation rather than that old conversation being the dominant one.
Love that. I'm thinking about people who maybe they had the right mindset or maybe they didn't. Then they lose everything. And they've got to start over from scratch. I think what you're saying is, hey, well, okay, if they know about this, then they just need to go back to scratch. They need to erase the beliefs that they have. But what about something like that where you have a trauma and you lose everything financially?
Yeah.
Do you find that people come to you that have that in the past and they're trying to figure that out? Or no, is that not a separate thing?
They're all very similar. I've had people that have come to me at the end of their careers and they're like, I've got everything in order except this. I want to put my financial house in order. I've got my family. I've got whatever it is. Everything's happy except this last bit. And then I've had people come to me and say, look, I had a lot and I've lost it, or I can't get to the place where I have a lot and I want to shift that. And it is all around our mindset. We look at people who are very successful who lose it all and then they just make it all back again. Mm-hmm. Now, there could be a mindset element to that where let's take a look at some of the most recent ones. People who are very, very successful in their sports career, whether it's some athlete in basketball or baseball or football. And after they've retired, they've made millions, sometimes tens of millions of dollars over their career, and they go bankrupt within 5 years. Mm-hmm. Or lottery winners who win an extraordinary amount of money and then within 5 years, they go bankrupt. 80% are the statistics on that. Now, that's not because of some bad luck. That's because their financial thermostat wasn't set up to have that kind of money. And until they reset that financial thermostat to have that kind of money, they're always going to disappear that kind of money. It's kind of like the thermostat in your room set at 72 degrees and it's freezing out and you open the windows and all that cold air comes in. What does the thermostat do? It kicks on the heat. It's got to bring it back to 72 degrees. Same thing with our financial thermostat. So wherever you are on that spectrum, understanding and resetting your financial thermostat will allow you to earn more, will allow you to keep more, and at the end of the day, have a better relationship with money and ultimately with yourself, because that's the true power of this. Because I've worked with people with very little money and they're completely satisfied and fulfilled. They have these extraordinarily simple, happy, joy-filled lives. Nothing is missing.
Yep.
And I've worked with billionaires, like on the list billionaires, verifiable. And they're miserable. They're miserable. Every day is a fight, is just a disaster. So it's not the money, it's our relationship to it.
Interesting. And so, a lot of times what I see is someone making whatever amount, 200, 300, 500, whatever the number, they just can't seem to break it. So in that situation, because I feel like it's one of the most common that I run into for people, obviously sometimes it's, I don't deserve that much money or, that type of thing. But sometimes it's simply, they just need to figure out, okay, when you said earlier something like, okay, take a look at what opportunities, I think you said, or something along that line. Did you mean, well, sometimes you just can't go any higher in that field or with what you're doing, so you have to open up new doors to try and figure out other ways to make money? Or did I not, am I assuming too much?
No, I think, well, it's a combination of a couple of things. I think first and foremost, when we start to get up into bigger numbers, what I find usually is the case is that people are driven by something. They expect money to provide them. If I could just make 100,000 a year, I'll be happy. They get to 100,000, they're not happy. Well, if I just get to 200, I'll be happy. And they get to 200, they're not happy. And they keep moving the goalpost and they're still not happy. Well, they're chasing after something that can't provide them with happiness. And when they start to do this work, suddenly they realize, wow, I'm happy exactly the way I am. This is extraordinary. I'm peaceful. I'm fulfilled. I'm happy. Now what happens is suddenly whole new worlds open up. And if they choose to make more money, those opportunities will fall into their lap. But when we're driven like in the hamster wheel, we're just, I'm going to force it out. I'm going to force it out. It's never going to happen. It's never going to happen. And so now I say never, but there are no absolutes, but it's most likely not going to happen. Right? We want to create for ourselves, what is it that's going to have me actually be happy? And if you say more money, then you're running a bankrupt game, because money will never provide you with happiness. Money will never provide you with security. Money will never provide you with safety. I know we think all those things are true, but it won't. Look at the people that lost their homes in Florida in the last storm. Look at people who lose things when the crash comes, or whatever it is that's happening, and people who have very little, who are very happy. We just have this thought, this mindset around, well, money is going to make me happy, make me secure. Trust me, I've worked with billionaires, and they're not secure. They're fighting lawsuits all the time. They're fighting divorces. They're fighting custody battles, all sorts of things. There's no security in that. Where does that security come from? It comes from here. Same thing with that joy, happiness, and fulfillment. It comes from here. The money is just a tool that we can use that will maybe amplify certain things in our lives. I like to use money to surround myself with things that I find are beautiful. Do those things make me happy? No. My happiness comes from here. But when I come into my office and I look around, I have this sense of happiness. I love the things that I have, but they're not the things that give me happiness.
Love that. Love that answer. So, did we cover the 3 worst money habits you can make, or have we not covered that yet?
We haven't covered that yet.
I would love to talk about that.
Well, I think Now, are you talking about money habits, or are you talking about just things in general around money?
Let's do both.
Okay, well, let me see if I can parse this out. So I think the first and foremost is understanding what money can provide and what it cannot provide. Getting really clear about that. I want money to be happy. Just not going to happen, like I said. I want money to feel safe, secure. Not going to happen. Find safety, security, and happiness from within. Now, the other thing is, what are some of the money habits that people have that I think are a downfall, right? And that's people not understanding what they want money for. There are a lot of times I'll start working with people and say, okay, well, how much money do you want to have? Well, I just want to have blah, 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 blah. Okay, great. Why do you want that money? And they have no idea what they want that money for. And without that why, we're kind of fighting with ghosts. We're trying to grasp hold of something that doesn't exist yet. So get really, really clear about what it is you want money for and how much. How much money do you want for those things? How much money do you want for a new car? How much money do you want for a home? And be realistic about it. Be grounded in reality around it. Well, I want a $20 million home. Okay, I got that. Why do you want a $20 million home? What is that house going to provide for you? Do you need that house? Right? And getting really clear on all these things will true you up to who you are. One of the things people say oftentimes is money corrupts. Money doesn't corrupt. Money's just paper. It's just coins. It isn't that. Money amplifies who we are. And as we make more and more money, there are elements or aspects of our personalities that will get amplified. Now, we have the choice of, do I want to allow that aspect of my personality to be amplified, where I treat people poorly? And now I've got more money, and so I feel more comfortable treating people poorly because I know I've got all this money. No, if that's something that you find and you're like, whoa, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to really manage that. Great. And if you allow the good aspects of your personality to come through and be amplified through that money, then that's what you want to do. So money doesn't corrupt, it simply amplifies. And we need to look at the personality traits that we're going to allow to be amplified and the ones that we aren't. We see it all the time with people who are famous, people who are wealthy. How do they treat other people? How do they treat them in private when no one else is around? Are you being a good person or are you not being a good person? That's all on us. It has nothing to do with money. Did I answer that question? I can't remember if I answered
I think so, because you asked me if we wanted to know habits, and then it was 3 habits and 3 something else, and I said let's do both. So
3 habits and 3 money mindsets. So one is never, another one is never looking at your relationship to money. Never really exploring, well, what do I think about money? How do I feel about money? Those thoughts I don't like, so I'm going to let go of those thoughts and create new ones. Or those thoughts I do like, and I'm going to continue to feed those thoughts. And habits are how do you interact with money every single month? How do you expand your capacity to grow money every single month, to understand what to do with money every single month? Well, I'll talk to clients and they'll say, well, I don't even know what to do if I had that kind of money. Well, that's going to be a block in the flow of money coming to you, because if you don't know what to do with the money, then money's not going to come to you. But if you start to educate yourself on, well, what would I do with money? Most people, when I talk to them, they say, well, I'll buy a house, I'm going to buy a car, I'll buy a vacation home, I'm going to go on a vacation, I'm going to quit my job. All they're doing is talking about disappearing money. They're not talking about having that money in their life to enrich them, having that money in their life to make their life better. And I like to correlate this to having a significant other. If you relate to money the way you relate to a significant other, or I'm going to flip that. If you related to a significant other the way most people relate to money, that relationship would be over very, very quickly. I expect it to be there when I want it. I want to have as much of it as I need. I don't want to think about it when it's not there. It was like, wait, I'm supposed to be your partner in crime here, and this is the way you're treating me? I'm out. But if we actually looked at our significant other and we cherished them whenever they were in the room with us, if we honored them, if we appreciated them, if we thought about how can I enhance this relationship? How can I make it better? How can I have them feel wanted and loved and cared for in my presence and in my life? That would be the best relationship in the world. Well, map that onto your relationship with money, because I promise you, if you start doing that, money's going to want to show up in your life every single day. Money's going to want to be around you because you appreciate it. You understand it. You want to enhance it every moment of your life. You want to get better at interacting with it. That's the kind of relationship we want to have with money. So look at that for yourself every day you wake up. It doesn't need to be a lot of time, but spend a little bit of time. A little shift every single day will make a huge difference over a period of time.
Love that. Okay. And so would the two things you mentioned be part of the worst money habits or no?
Oh boy. Okay. So yes, treating money like
Treating it
an
money.
object, demanding that money show up in your life, insisting that it be there, just treating it like that object, that is one of the worst things you can do with money. I think the other thing that we can do with money that is not necessarily, well, I'm sorry, what was that?
I was just saying, and the other thing you said, which I agree with all this. You are, if you get money, it just makes you more of who you are. So if you're not a happy person, a nice person, you're just going to be. So it sounds like it's an amplifier. So if that's
Correct.
one of the biggest, probably when you can make the big mistake thinking it's going to change you, and it's not gonna.
Correct. It's not going to change you. It's simply going to amplify what's already there. And then you get to choose, okay, do I want to amplify that or not? And if not, don't amplify it. And if I do, great. Become a better person. Become a more giving person, a more kind person, a more generous person. And by that, I don't mean you have to give away all your money. You know, that's another thing people love to say. If I get a lot of money, I'm going to donate it to charity, as if that's some kind of baseline or something. There's something that you gain from that. Don't give away money just to give away money. And you don't need to give away money to make a difference. You can give away your time. You can give away your wisdom. You can share that with other people and make a massive difference. And if contributing money is part of that, great, but be thoughtful about it. Be considered in what you're donating money for, not just like, well, I'm going to give this because I'm protecting myself. You know, I want to go to heaven, or I want to be a good person. That doesn't make you a good person any more than going to church or going to temple, or those things don't make you good people. Your actions every single day determine if you're a good person. Allow that to source who you are every single day. And so those choices will be the choices that you want to look at and allow them to be consistent with who you truly are and who you want the world to know you to be. So going back to the bad choices around money, I'm trying to think of like just being irresponsible with money. You know, throwing money away on that doesn't matter. It's only money. Oh boy, that's a big one. That will be a huge block of the flow of money coming towards you. You know, you want to be really, really careful and responsible and appreciative for what you do with your money, just like you would with a significant other.
Yeah.
I'll live their life. I'm not going to worry about them. What? No, don't do that. I'm not going to put you in jeopardy. I'm not going to treat you with disrespect. I'm not going to be careless with you and our relationship, right? I'm going to go walk you through a dangerous neighborhood. No, I'm going to do the same thing for money.
How much effort / time? I mean, I think there's probably, I don't know, probably plenty of people who don't fall in the category of they like to figure out what to do with their money. They probably just don't want to do it. I enjoy it, but it's like, how much knowledge should you have? I mean, obviously there's got to be some component that, hey, I've got to be a good steward of my money, my finances. So I should know the basics, or no, like just understand that you should pay attention to it and be a good person. And then, you know, you could go get somebody that can just handle all that for you. Or what is your stance on that?
Right. Well, I think this is a great thing for everybody to look at for themselves. And you point something out which is really interesting or important, in that you love to do it. And so that's an important element. For some people, they really do love to interact with or think about or educate themselves around money. For other people, they don't. They're on the opposite end of that spectrum. Like, I hate it. Well, you don't want to come at it from that I hate it, because that context around money is going to really be another block in the flow of money coming to you. Find that middle ground for yourself. And If you're someone who's saying, well, I'm just going to hire it out, I'm just going to hire somebody else to do it for me, you're priming yourself, you're putting yourself in a position of being separated from your money. Why would you put one of the most important things in your life that you've worked very hard for in the hands of someone else when you have no idea what they're doing? That would be like saying, well, I have a kid and I'm going to find a babysitter. I'm just going to give the kid to a babysitter and I have no idea who they are, what they're going to do with the kid. But I know that they're professionals. They're going to take care of my kid. I would never do that. And if you would never do that with your child, why would you do that with your money? So you want to have a basic fundamental understanding of what it is they're going to do with your money so that you can ask those critical questions. Okay, well, I want to understand, why are you putting my money here? Is it so that you can make the commission because you're putting my money there? Or is it because it's going to really be good for me in my long-term goals around money? And these are questions we want to be comfortable asking, because I'm not diminishing financial advisors. There are some really great ones out there, but there are also ones out there that are interested in making money for themselves with your money. They're not necessarily focused on you doing as well as you can so much as them doing as well as they can. So you understanding the basics, having a sense of what they're doing, will allow you to ask the right questions so that you can protect your money and be, as you said, the steward of your money, because that's what you are. You are a steward of that money while it's with you.
I love that. I think everyone should be responsible and understand at least the basics and pay attention to the money. I agree, not just giving it to somebody. Plus, it gets complicated when you start to, and like you said, there's a lot of good financial advisors out there, but there's so many differences between the definitions and how they charge and what they actually do. So it gets really nuanced.
Right.
Okay. So I feel like we've covered a good chunk of this, but what are we missing? Or is there anything that we need to talk about to wrap it up with a bow and be like, okay, you've got a pretty good basics before you call me to be your financial coach, but what do you want people to understand? Is there anything like the final thoughts of like, okay, these are some things you should do as well, or anything else?
Yeah. I think for everyone, money is one of the few things that all of us have to interact with in the course of our lives. There are some people, you can go your whole life without ever owning a home or ever owning a car or ever having a driver's license. There are certain things we can go through life without ever having to deal with, and that's great. Money is not one of them. It is one of the few things that we all interact with. Having a better understanding or a better relationship with money will serve you well over the course of your lifetime, whether you want to make a lot of money or whether that's not important to you, whether you just want to be grounded in having a good relationship with money so that the money you have is the money that sources you, and understanding when is enough. Where there are people we see, they're just driven by it. They're driven by that it's never enough, it's never enough, it's never enough, it's never enough. And that lifestyle can, not always, can become bankrupt, where we've lived our entire life focused solely on making more, and we've missed out on all the extraordinary things that life has to offer. Relationships, friends, family, experiences. So really look for yourself. What is it you want money for? What will money provide you and what will money not provide you? And then once you're clear about that, take the steps necessary to educate yourself or take yourself to the next level. So for example, if you're really interested in finding out more about how to invest, go do some research on investing. Go find a coach that is a coach on investing and start to speak with them and do the work that, make sure you vet them. Make sure you have a good feel. Our feelings are a really great barometer for what's right and what's wrong for each and every one of us on an individual basis. So how do you feel about that person? Do you get a good feeling for them? Great. Continue to vet to make sure that they've got the experience, that they've got the education, that they've got the caring and desire. So those are the things that you can do every single day. And remember, there is no one right answer for everyone. There's only the right answer for you. And when you find that right answer, grab a hold of it. Lean into it. Take the coaching. Be coachable. Allow their expertise, their wisdom, and their experience to provide you with what you need so that you can have the kind of life that you want.
Awesome. Love it. Love the message and good information. So where can people find you if they want to reach out and get, more answers to more questions they have?
Yes, I have a free masterclass on my website. It is the 4 keys to resetting your financial thermostat. You just enter your name and email and you've got instant access to it. It will take you through everything you need to know about resetting your financial thermostat so that it'll launch you on your path to having that kind of financial abundance and prosperity that you're looking for. That you can go to periclesrellas.com or resetyourfinancialthermostat.com. They both go to the same place. And then at
Cool.
the end of that masterclass, if it's something you're interested in pursuing, there's a call to action there where you can take the next step and work with me on a more intimate basis.
Love it. Cool. Okay. And we'll put the links to your website in the show notes as well.
Great.
So thanks, man. I appreciate it. This has been great. And I might have to have you on again, talk more money. But this is good. And I think this is going to help a lot of people. So I appreciate it.
Frank, thank you for having me. I love this conversation. I hope it made a difference and I appreciate it. And I would love to be back on anytime.
Awesome. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. And we'll catch you on the next one. Bye-bye.